Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Benchwarmer Sports podcast. Raffi here, joined by Davian. Davian, it is arguably one of the most busiest times of the year for us. NHL trade deadline was last week. NFL free agency just opened, and the main topic of today: conference tournaments start this week, especially some of the bigger Power Four plus Big East plus Mountain West plus etc. West Coast Conference. So we're gonna go through a decent number of these conference tournaments and give our predictions for who's gonna be winning, some dark horses, who else to look out for in a lot of these tournaments. I can't wait. I'm wearing my U of I shirt. Davian, you're wearing the Cornell shirt, so we're ready, very prepared for this podcast. Before we do that, Davian, how are you? This is one of my favorite times of year. As I say always, every time of year is a great time of year. But I gotta say, I do love this time of year a little bit more than some of the others just because my bracket holic instincts kick in and I wind up making just a billion brackets. So, Davian, how are you doing?
There's something about March just brings some sort of magic to it, some sort of madness to it, as some may say. I love it. I absolutely love it. The ability for like all sports fans to get together around this time of year. I mean, Ravi, you forgot to mention we also have the World Baseball Classic going on right now, and
That
that's
is
been
true.
a lot of fun too to watch. So F1 just started this past weekend. Really,
Paralympics.
and the Olympics, just came to close, and Paralympics are just opening up as well. Truly a magical time of the year. I'm excited, Rafi. I can't wait to really break down these my conference tournament champions and really get into the nitty gritty of it. But Rafi, before we start that, how have you been?
Yeah, again, as already iterated in the open for this podcast, I'm doing great. Love this time of year. I got to be honest, I wish I was more granular with college basketball throughout this year.
Yeah.
I obviously kept tabs on everything, watched a lot of highlights, listened to a lot of podcasts, and prep for this show, and just throughout the past couple months. But it's a shame of working the 9 and 5, the ball and chain, as some might say, where you don't have as much time just to fully invest in college basketball. I can only choose one sport, and I chose hockey, so college basketball is right behind. So trying to catch up a little bit more in time for this March Madness podcast that we're going to do next week, obviously, and for all the brackets that I'm going to be making. So, Davian, let's start off with just the Big Ten. Let's just dive right in. Let's have some fun. Davian, Big Ten. I'm going to hand it over to you first. Who do you think's going to win? And any other comments about the Big Ten?
Well, like when it comes to Big Ten, I feel like there's one team that has stood out the entire year. Every single, I mean, yes, they've had their times where they haven't, played that great. They are favored. I believe they're still favored to win the national championship. That's a Big Blue. This is my Venmo debit card, which I got fitted to be Michigan. You like it, Rafi? Isn't it cool? Right?
Which means, of course, you're gonna go with Michigan
Right,
here,
right,
obviously.
right. I have to.
And
It's so cool. I
when
mean,
you said Visa card, I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at squinting, like, are there numbers or anything? And then you
no,
said
no,
Venmo. I was
no,
like,
no
oh,
Visa
okay,
card.
cool.
It's just a
I
debit
was
card.
like,
Venmo debit
Davian, I can understand you picking Michigan, but you don't need to flash all your credit card information to prove a point that you're picking Michigan.
Yeah, I mean, just to conclude, Rafi, I mean, I think this is a team that is. I mean, they've been put. I mean, didn't they just crush Michigan State? Am I wrong when I say that? Right?
They beat them by 10.
Well, they beat
They
them by
beat them
10,
by
but
10. It was
still.
a close. It was a close game for the most part, but Michigan has, not to steal the show from you right there, but Michigan has looked like the most dominant team in the Big Ten by
And they look
distance.
consistent too, Rafi. And I think that's what needs that. That's why they really stand out. Is there a way that Illinois, a team like Illinois, could pull an upset? Sure, but I'm not banking on Purdue in March. They always collapse in March. And the team has not looked good at all. Besides that, I mean, there's really no teams I look at, and I'm like, yeah, like this is a team that I could really see taking away from Michigan.
Yeah, I have Michigan as well. You just look at their roster, especially led by Yaxel Lindenborg, who is obviously I can say this, but bro is quite literally in college basketball terms, bro is an unk. He's the same age as me.
Yeah.
So that makes you an unk at this point. You're 23, bro. You got to get a job at this point. Like, what are we doing still in
Robbie, there.
school?
What do you
But
mean? You could go to the NBA now and then come back to college and play college basketball.
bro should have been. That's funny. That took me a moment, but that's a good joke. But anyways, UAB transfer's been fantastic. He's gonna be a first round pick for sure. Obviously, people are gonna say, but he's old, in which I say one, okay, in NBA terms, but not in actual terms. 23 is still rather young as I cling to my youthfulness as much as I can. And yeah, you mentioned it. Michigan has just been so dominant this year. I will say Wisconsin's looked really good of late. They've gone from essentially that 7-8 line all the way up to potentially being on the 5-6 line, depending on how the Big Ten tournament goes. A lot of quad one win opportunities for Wisconsin to continue to beef up their resume. Illinois, you mentioned it. Purdue as well. Purdue, the previous, actually not even the previous, they were entering the season, the preseason number one in the AP poll. Both Purdue and Illinois have really shown flashes, but they're just so inconsistent. It's really hard to pick anyone else other than Michigan here. If I had to pick a dark horse, probably Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Purdue, if things finally click and they've just been just waltzing through the regular season, now like, okay, now it's our time to actually be the best team in the country. Maybe them, but overall, I think just Michigan has just been so dominant. And unfortunately, we're going to go through some of these, and I'm starting to see a theme where it feels like there's a big four this year out of all the teams, and then there's a lot of other schools that could potentially get into the mix, but it really feels like there's four teams at the top who are likely all going to get one seeds come Selection Sunday next week, and then it's going to be just essentially the field on if any of those top four teams are going to go down at any point. But let's move over to the Big 12. Cole Pete's back. Arizona looks like a wagon. They beat Houston without him as well a couple weeks ago in Houston, which was really impressive to me. Arizona, I have them beating Houston. I think that you look at the Big 12 this year, it's a little bit of a down year. I want to say Kansas. They have looked good in the past, even without Darren Peterson. And with Darren Peterson just takes over games. But you got to imagine that if he is playing, if he's in this Big 12 tournament, and once we get to March Madness, that being, you have to imagine if he's dealing with any pain or cramps or whatever, he's going to fight through it. Because if I'm an NBA scout or NBA evaluator and I'm seeing a guy in some of the biggest games of their collegiate career taking themselves out of the game or saying, oh, I have cramps, I can't keep going, instead of pushing through, I understand you could hurt yourself further, but if I'm an NBA scout, I want to see you push through that. I want to see what your tolerance is and how much you can push yourself. So Kansas, if things click, again, similar to Purdue, I wouldn't be shocked if they win the Big 12 or go on even a run in March Madness, but I'm going to go with Arizona over Houston here. I think Arizona, in comparison to past years where typically they look good, but you look at their quad one wins and you're like, okay, like this isn't the best. Your quad one wins don't stand out too much. Arizona has the quad one wins and the quad two wins to really support them being one of the top teams this year in the college basketball realm.
Yeah, Rafi, I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I mean, I think the team like Arizona they've been the most consistent, right? I mean, not that many injuries as much. Kansas, of course, you cannot count them out. Like you mentioned, Darren Peterson, who I think will play. He'll try to force himself to play because, of course, like you said, NBA scouts are looking after him. I'm not gonna repeat every single word you've said and say, and sound smart, but honestly, what you said was hit it right on the money. So I don't think I'll add more to that. There's the same reasons why you think Arizona is going to win. There's the same reasons I have, and the same reasons why you count Kansas to still be in this race. I think so as well. It'll be also interesting to see how BYU does. I mean, they do have AJ DeBansta. Is that how you say his name?
DeBansta.
Yeah, DeBansta.
Yeah.
So, if they can make a run, that would be interesting to see as well.
Yeah, and I believe it's Saunders. Saunders went down a few weeks ago for BYU,
Yeah.
and since BYU lost him, they've really fallen down to earth. They were competing for that 3-4 line until that injury, and since then, a lot of the scoring, a lot of the pressure's been put on Debansa, who's been doing a good job, but you had a dynamic duo there, and now it's just a one-guy show, essentially, and BYU's really fallen down. I think they're in some bracketologies down to the 7 line right now, which just shows how much they've fallen off in the past couple of weeks with the loss of Saunders. So it'll be interesting to see how BYU does. Not to get it, because again, the bracket's a bracket. We don't know who's playing who, but I am a little iffier on going with BYU potentially to make it deeper. I was big on them last year. That did not pan out very well. This year, I'm very hesitant to pick them going far, even in this Big 12 tournament. UCF as well, just shout out them.
Yeah.
Uncharacteristically good year this year. Shout out to them, honestly. It's props to them. Typically, not one of the better teams in the Big 12 or in general in their respective conference, back when I believe they were in the American. So shout out to them as well. All right, Davian, not to give you the short stick, but I will be giving you the ACC. I think this one also is pretty straightforward, unfortunately.
Man, Rafi, I thought you were giving me the SEC right now, but geez, all right, I'll pull up my ACC. Yeah, it's gonna be simple. I mean, they're minus 330 favorite. There's a reason why. I'm going Duke. This team has just dominated absolutely. They could be without Caleb Foster though, and I cannot pronounce his name, but Patrick Ngongba, their starting center as well, which would definitely hurt them. But I'm still going with even if they can't play, I'm still going Duke. It might be more competitive with Virginia, I think, if those players are out for Duke, but I'm still going Duke.
Yeah, and Virginia, Miami, Louisville, all teams, UNC as well, have all hung around. UNC, obviously, one of the two wins against Duke this year, or one of the two losses that Duke took this year. So there are teams that could potentially make things interesting. Miami, especially, has played a lot of close games this year against some really good opponents. So if there's a team that could potentially pull something off, maybe it's Miami if things click and maybe they get the ball to bounce the right way for them at some point. But yeah, unfortunately, it's just Duke has again, similar to some of the other schools we talked about, Michigan, Arizona. Duke's been one of the most dominant teams in college basketball this year, and again, in typical ACC fashion, there's not too much competition for them. As much as I'd love to say Syracuse is going to go, I don't think so. So I'm going to go with Duke as well. Davian, I will do you
Count
the
out
honor.
Syracuse though. Don't count them out.
Typically, exactly, it's March, which means it's Boeheim season, even though I'm pretty sure he's retired. Yeah, he's definitely retired at this point. Anyways, Davian, I will give you the one that you were hoping to get when I first started, and I'll give you the SEC because I'm a good host, and also I want to give this one to you. But I'm taking the Ivy. No, I'm kidding. I'll still give you the Ivy later. I'm not.
Ain't no way to talk about the Ivy.
Cruel,
Ain't no way to talk about the Ivy.
But anyways, SEC Davian, what are your thoughts? Who do you have winning?
You know, Raffi, when it comes to SEC, there's one team I'm always rooting for.
Oregon.
No. But good. Almost. Sometimes I do. Now, roll Tide, Raffi. Roll Tide. All I'm saying is, I don't think this Florida team is that good. I think at times they've shown to be inconsistent. And that's why I say roll Tide. I will also say, do not count out those Aggies. They are a sleeper team. Horns down.
No. Florida's been dominant the past month. They beat Alabama by 23 in early February and beat Arkansas on the 28th.
Well, I'm saying like earlier in the season they weren't like very consistent. You know, like they had their struggles earlier on.
Yeah, and now they found their form and look fantastic. I don't see how you can pick someone outside of Florida. If I had to pick someone other than Florida, I would pick Alabama. But Davian, bro, dude, Florida has been fantastic this past month, and have really early in the year, you're right, they were out of shape, out of form.
It's March, Raffi. It's March.
Yeah, and last year in March, all the one seeds went to the Final Four, Davian.
Oh, you're boring, Raffi. Telling you, it's gonna be Bama. Roll Tide. Watch.
You know what?
Watch me be right, and you'll take back your words.
I will be more than happy to eat my words if that does happen, which it won't. But sure, we can make a little friendly wager on that. You want to go crazy? We'll go crazy. Let's go to the Big East, Davian. St. John's is the 1 seed, which I found surprising that they were the 1 seed. UConn's a 2 seed. UConn has the better overall record, has taken some steps back a little bit of late. They've played in some competitive games that they really shouldn't have been in. And overall, this UConn team isn't as dominant as they've been in the past couple years. Dan Hurley's squad still like finding their form, still going to be likely on the 2 line this year, but there was a lot of talk about them potentially being on the 1 line before Florida just in a Ferrari just zoomed right past them. But that being said, I'm not going to take either of them, Davian. I'm going to go with Seton Hall, who has played both St. John's and UConn extremely close this year.
Yeah, I know.
Closer than most teams have. And this Seton Hall team we're gonna go. I've been so boring this entire podcast, and I'm looking for like different things to see. Okay, how can I argue that this team could be better? And Seton Hall has been essentially a possession away from knocking off St. John's and UConn numerous times this year. I'm gonna go with Seton Hall, pull out the upset. They are looking for an auto bid. They're currently on the bubble. They're going to be extremely motivated, and I think teams that are on the bubble have by far much more to lose than UConn, who could fall or cement themselves in the 2 line essentially, or St. John's, who, oh no, you're on the 3 line. So when you have a lot to lose, I think that's elevating your game. Well, UConn and St. John's might say, okay, well, if we win, that's great, obviously, but we're more focused on the actual big thing, the March Madness tournament. While Seton Hall is saying, you know what, if we don't pick up a couple of quad one wins here, and even potentially win the Big East, there's no guarantee that we make it if we don't win the Big East tournament. So I'm gonna go with Seton Hall.
Yeah, I mean, that's not a worst take. That's not a bad take at all. I'm not going UConn either. I'm going St. John's. Rafi, I think that this St. John's team, I mean, with their coaching and Zubi Ejiofor, who's been named to the All East first team, Dylan Mitchell and Bryce Hopkins. Just, I think that this team all put together, I think is a team that will be able to challenge UConn, which has clearly struggled. And I know that it's March, and this is really when UConn wakes up. But I'm still gonna go St. John. Seton Hall is a great pick as well. I've seen them. I've seen clips of them playing against UConn and St. John, and they both look very good. And of course, being from Jersey, it's hard to not root. It's hard to root against Seton Hall, but I'm gonna go St. John.
Yeah. Also, a really solid pick as well. Again, St. John's the 1 seed going into this Big East tournament, which again, surprising.
Yeah, it is slightly surprising. It is. It is. Yeah, I agree.
You definitely would have thought that UConn would have been just by their record.
I
and
think
also
they should have
how
been. Yeah, but you know,
yeah.
yeah.
What can you do? It's March.
They do be March.
Things out of the ordinary happen.
Exactly.
All right, let's move out of some of the power conferences of college basketball. Move off to some of the smaller ones. Don't worry, Davian. The Ivy is still a Power 5 to me, Davian. I'll still give them. We'll come back to other power schools shortly with the Ivies. But anyways, Mountain West, typically on the bubble. They're on the bubble again this year. I'm going Utah State. They have been clearly the best school in the country. Not even in the country. That's a clip and a half. In the Mountain West, they've been by far the dominant team. I was looking at some of their other matchups versus New Mexico, Boise State, Colorado State. They've just been much more dominant. Colorado State has won 8 of their last 9. I'm pretty sure last year I said Colorado State was going to win the Mountain West because they were on a really good run going into the Mountain West tournament, in which they proceeded to win the Mountain West, stealing a bid. So it's not unprecedented for me to pick Colorado State and for them to go on a deep run after going on a hot streak entering this tournament. But this time I'm going to go on the safer side and go with Utah State.
Yeah, that's fair. I honestly, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, this is a but I will say with San Diego State, this is a San Diego State team that did beat Utah State a couple weeks ago. So I wouldn't count out San Diego State, but I am going to go with the boring route like you, Rafi. I will pick Utah State. I think that they're a team that they've had their losses. I mean, clearly, I mean, they just, they lost San Diego State, and Colorado State is definitely on the rise and playing lights out in the past, 8 games or so. But with that all being said, with the Mountain West, I don't watch the Mountain West that much. Can you blame a guy? But either way, I'm going to go Utah State as well.
Your lack of care for Mountain West basketball and
waking up at 10
or staying up until 1 a.m. to watch them is...
Hey, Rafi.
Hideous.
You know what's Air Force's record?
Moving over to the American Conference. Davian, your thoughts on the American?
For the viewers, it's 3-28. 28-3.
I'm glad. I thought you were gonna start. I was like, "There's no way it's the other thing. There's no way that's the record." No. But I'm glad. Honestly, I'll take that. 3-28. Honestly, is pretty impressive.
Yeah. It honestly is. All right. The American Conference. I'm gonna go South Florida. They're a team that I feel like they've had some big wins. Or am I lying when I say that? Right?
They've had. I mean, they've been by far the most
I mean,
dominant
they've
team in
yeah,
American
they've
this
just
year,
been the
and
most dominant team in
it
the
is it
conference.
is not very close this year. They
Yeah.
are. They're my pick as well. They've just been
Yeah, I mean, I'm
outstanding this
looking at their
year.
games, Rafi. They're blowing out teams left and right. I mean, they lost to Temple, which is like a bit
Exactly.
surprising, but that was back in January, and it's March at this point. So, I like how I use my logic in one way for one team and another way for another team. But
Isn't that
it,
great? Don't you love
I
doing
love it.
that?
I
That's the
love it.
best
I
part
love
about
it.
having
Yeah,
this podcast when you can pick and choose facts to
exactly. Yeah,
determine
yeah.
what
They got to make
you're gonna.
microphones more expensive.
Too many people have podcasts.
Yeah, yeah. Get them out of here. Benchwarmers on top. But okay, Rafi, I'm gonna cut in here. Ivy League basketball, baby, being hosted in Ithaca, New York. You got four
Wow, what
teams
an
heading in
exotic
there.
place.
It's Yale, Cornell, Harvard, UPenn. I'm picking Cornell, baby. Look, we go against round one against Yale. Whoever wins that game is winning it all. That's really the true Ivy League championship game. This is a Cornell team that beat Yale on a buzzer beater just a few weeks ago at Cornell. This crowd will be louder than it was. It will be a packed stadium. I am picking Cornell to win the Ivy League conference and get that auto bid.
Go Bulldogs! Give me Yale. I'm picking Yale.
Whoa!
I agree with you, Davian. I agree
Dude,
with you.
Jake
I think the winner of
Finnegan,
that
Cooper
game
Nora,
is going to
bro.
win the
These guys
Ivy.
shoot threes like they shoot threes like it's just like a smooth operation, you know. It's just one after another.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. Last but not least, West Coast Conference, Davian. I am gonna go with St. Mary's. They beat Gonzaga last week, 70-59, which is all I really need to see. I love the West Coast Conference tournament bracket structure. It's hilarious. And yeah, I'm gonna go with St. Mary's over Gonzaga. St. Mary's, Gonzaga, not their typical season. St. Mary's also not their typical season. Both have kind of taken a step down for past years, but I'm gonna go St. Mary's here over Gonzaga.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same. I mean, Gonzaga's just not look good this season, so I don't see them waking up now.
Yeah, absolutely. Davian, any final thoughts before we conclude this podcast? We really ran through all these conferences, gave our predictions. Anything else? Anything that you want to revisit, put a bow on before we close out this show?
Yeah, I do. Auburn, I really hope you don't make it. I really hope you don't make it. And if Miami doesn't make it, you see, here's the thing. Here's my theory with Miami, Rafi.
Miami, Ohio.
They are
Miami, Ohio.
no. You don't need to call them Miami, Ohio, because it's Miami of Florida. The thing is, it's Miami of Florida now, because Miami, Ohio, which is now the real Miami, is better than Miami of Florida. So they become the real Miami. You know, like they shouldn't be called the Miami, Ohio, because they're known as like the lesser team. They are the better team. They are Miami.
Just not in football.
Just not in football, but in basketball. You know.
Okay. Anyways, what was your
the point
though,
is,
about bringing Miami?
Rafi, they have to make it in. I'm sorry. Like, I don't care if they lose now. They don't they don't win their tournament. There's absolutely no way they don't make it in. Am I right? I mean, Rafi, when you go undefeated in the regular season, what else are you supposed to do? And it is not and I will add on. It is not like they did not try to schedule create a harder schedule. They did, but all those teams said no. So it's not fair. And it's a 64 league, it's a 64 team tournament. So of course they should be making it in.
Facts. And again, as you mentioned, they're 2-0 in quad 2, so they have something. They're 11-0 in quad 3. Let's look at some of these other teams. UConn has a quad 3 loss. You have Gonzaga has a quad 3 loss. St. John's has a quad 3 loss. Wisconsin has a quad 3 loss. Georgia with a quad 3 loss. Villanova with a quad 3 loss. Utah State, TCU, Iowa, UCF, St. Louis, Texas. All of these schools ranked ahead of Miami. And I know they have the quad 1 wins. Blah, blah, blah. But still, You got to hand it to them. And you mentioned it. One, what do you want them to do? No one wanted to play them because they were scared. Because for them, losing to a school that could be qualified as a quad 2, quad 3 loss doesn't look good on your resume. Or Miami, Ohio is just you got to take care of business. You got to beat the teams on your schedule. We've talked about this ad nauseum in a variety of different sports. Going undefeated, even in the Mid-American Conference, still means something because the way that they've done it, yes, they played a lot of close games. Yes, their strength of schedule is really poor. Their strength of record is not great. But at the end of the day, if you're an undefeated school, this is what March is all about. This is what if Miami loses at any point in the Mid American and does not make the tournament, it is a disgrace to college basketball. It's an absolute disgrace. And at Miami, Ohio, even if they get in, let's say they win the Mid American, clinch their spot, and lose the first matchup that they have, it is still, there's no reason that you look at some of these schools, like you mentioned Auburn, who is 4-12 in quad 1, has a quad 3 loss, is 3-1 in quad 3. Boise State, Auburn, overall, let me do some quick math 6, 12, 16, 16, and 15. Are you really going to put a 16 and 14 team in over an undefeated Miami, Ohio, or even a one-loss Miami, Ohio? You are absolutely not. That is disgusting. The fact that a team that's 16 and 15 or Indiana 18 and 13 potentially getting in, that disgusts me. That is ruins the entire integrity of college basketball. If you put any of those schools that do not, I get they have higher competition, strength of schedule, net, etc. But you cannot be putting a team that's just over 500 in this tournament over a team even at one loss.
Yeah,
that's
I agree.
you cannot. I will not stand for that.
Yeah, and then furthermore, Raffi, they were playing with every game being on the line. That if they lose a single game, that's it for them, right? And if this tournament was simply decided based on the math, fine, you don't let them in. But we know for a fact emotion plays a factor when these when the committee is making the seedings and things like that. So if emotion is a factor, then you have to put in Miami. Miami, simple as that.
Yeah, 100%. And again, the good thing for Miami is the fact that the person who's in charge and the chair of the whole committee that meets and all the people who are, none of them, the chair is not the athletic director of any of these schools that we're comparing them to. Not that that would have any impact on anything in past years, because that's definitely not happened. I'm sorry, West Virginia fans. If you're watching this podcast, welcome. I didn't know we had viewers from West Virginia. And if you're the first person who's watching West Virginia, I hope this wasn't a bad impression. But anyways, that at least bodes well for Miami. But I agree. I think we're both in agreement here that even if they lose, like obviously, hopefully they win a game or two. Just if you lose in the championship or lose even in the semis, I still think you got to put Miami, Ohio in this tournament. It's what makes March great. And again, just the thought of just above 500, even a 500 Auburn getting in over them is disgusting.
Absolutely not.
So
absolutely not.
That's absolutely horrendous. But that'll do it for this edition of the Benchwarmer Sports podcast. Let us know in the comments your predictions. Who do you guys think is going to win all these respective tournaments? Who do you think is going to help Miami, Ohio regain the love of college basketball and get punch their ticket? Let us know in the comments below about all that stuff and the contents of this podcast. For Davian and Raffi, hope you enjoyed. Have a good one. And Davian, it is now the most wonderful time of the year.
It truly is. Go Big Red, baby. Peace.